Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's me, KiaSimone, and we got to get into episode 2 of these Never Ever Met. So, of course, episode 2 opens up with them in the middle of all these CDV activities. She's yelling at him about, don't put your hands in my face. He's yelling at her about, stop disrespecting me, yo. And she's saying in the confessional that this is literally like day and night, because this morning, everything went well. She's all excited about, oh, I got my man. And somewhere between sunup and sundown, this girl lost his mind. She said, he in here yelling at me like I'm his child. I'm embarrassed. I'm scared. And that's the point at which we see them progressing to touching each other. And initially, he's acting like he's playfully grabbing her. And he's holding her about, how you gonna disrespect me like that? How you gonna disrespect me like that? She's saying something about, cause this, she good. Girl, what? This ain't the time for that, all right? This nigga is 2 seconds for beating your, we don't give a damn who got good box. So he's yelling at her about, have I ever disrespected you? She said, yeah, you have. Now, I don't know if this is how they edited this, or if this is the moment at which the comment she makes about having good, she hit him, but he comes out of nowhere about, cause you got a fake ass and fake titty, drops the fuck out my face and pushes the girl across the kitchen. That's when she starts asking, so you pushing me now? He's in her face barking about, what? What? Stop playing with me. Get me a weapon. So now when he walks up on her and he's, what? Stop playing with me. She pushes him out of her face and said, get out of my face. As she's pushing him, he grabs her by the wrist, push her, twist her around, all kinds of shit. Now she's trying to swing and slap him. He's swinging, but That's the point at which Josh realized, okay, these niggas ain't playing. And he goes to step in. And I give him all the respect for that. So after Josh steps in and he's trying to restrain Dominique pushes past him and he's still walking toward Alexis. Well, Alexis picked up the first damn thing she could find. It was a big pot on the stove. She picked that pot up and said, bring your ass. You better not hit me with that pot. You'll be lucky if this pot is all you get hit with. She's screaming, don't touch me. He must have said something, but I'll fuck you up. She said, well, fuck me up then. This too much. Now at this point, Josh and Shay are trying to separate them. Dominique is trying to convince Josh, another man, that he ain't dead wrong for the bullshit he just did. About, you saw what just happened. I called her out for being disrespectful. She admitted she was disrespectful and then turned around and said she didn't give a fuck. And if she don't give a fuck from here to Christmas, if she ain't got to give to a charity that ain't got to do with you, she don't have to give up, and you ain't gonna beat one into her. One thing I cannot stand is a punk ass man. I mean, and this ain't no small guy. He's a tall, big dude. He looks like he's well over 6 feet. He's probably 250 or better. And the person you want to handle and throw around is this motherfucking female? These motherfuckers got me stressed. So now they're all back in the kitchen together. And Dominique is trying to convince Shay that Alexis deserved his behavior. But you see her hit me in my face, right? Shay said, yeah, after you pushed her. And Alexis is screaming, this all went down after I apologized. Shay said, yeah. Once she apologized, this shit should have been all over. But he's the kind of person that you can't give grace, you can't compromise with, you cannot give him an inch because he's going to take a mile. He took her humility and her willingness to apologize, to take ownership for him feeling a certain way based on a conversation or interaction that she was having with someone else, because she was willing to take his feelings into consideration. He took that as a sign of weakness and an opportunity to attack. Alexis is going on to say, after I told you I apologize, you start carrying on about how you gonna get me back tomorrow. And so he's talking to Shay about, well, she went on for 10 minutes talking about the good shorts. Have I flirted with anybody in this house? Have I flirted with you? She said no, and don't nobody give a damn. I wouldn't give a damn if she flirted with the entire camera crew. If you don't like her behavior, disengage yourself. Separate yourself. Remove yourself from her life. But you don't get to beat her into submission. It does not work that way. Then he starts screaming something about, I'm a man with a whole dick and I ain't out here flirting. You are female. So if you flirting, I'm flirting. No, you're a weak nigga. That's what you are. And you know you're a weak nigga. And you're probably weak in all of the places that count as a man. You weak at the bank, you weak in the bed, you weak in the head. And when a man is weak in all of the areas that he feels like makes him a man, the only way he knows how to express his dominance as a man is physicality. And I can almost guarantee you that this aggression that he has with a woman, he would never have with a man. Alexis told him, I don't give a damn, flirt with anybody you want to flirt with. You a whole And this nigga got the nerve to be in the confessional about there's just a level that it gets to that it shouldn't get to. Nick, go tell your mama and your therapist, because that's who you need help from. Usually these types of men who have these types of issues with women have issues with their mother, and the issues are unresolved. And because they're afraid to broach the issues that they have with their mother, they project and take those issues out on every other woman they encounter. Now, you know things bad when the producers show up on camera, when them people start coming out all them damn crevices and you can see the cameras and the crew and all that shit done got bad. So now the producers are out. They're talking to Alexis. She's asking what his temperament is like. Girl, crazy. That's his damn temperament. The producers say, hey, we don't know. All we know is he ain't gonna be back in here tonight. He might be back tomorrow, maybe. And Alexis is in the confessional about she couldn't believe that he was being sent to a hotel and that he's not gonna be there for the night. She just couldn't wrap her mind around it. Honey, let me tell you something. And I get, because she goes on to say that she's never been in a situation where a man has put his hands on her. And it is one of the most shocking, jarring experiences, because you don't even believe this shit's like, it's unreal when something like that happens. So I get that she can't really wrap her mind around it. But when that kind of goes down, there is no working it out. There is no having a conversation. There is no what's his temperament. They are taking the exact right steps. Get the fuck on. Always choose you in that type of dynamic. I don't care how much you think you like a person, love a person, how much history you got, how hopeful you were for the future. I don't give a damn. I don't care how much money they got, how good the is. I don't give a damn about none of that. When a man will go as far as putting his hands on you, and then this man so deep, he ain't just put his hands on you. He's willing to put his hands on you, a woman he's never known, he's never met, in a house full of people where y'all are filming a TV show. There are cameras all over the place, and this is going to be aired on national TV. If he will toss you around like Raggedy Ann and that motherfucker in front of all these people and cameras, what would this man do when nobody is looking? So they move on to the next day, and we see now Dominique and Alexis might be around there beating each other, but Josh and Shay is beating something else down. She comes in the room with the girls the next morning with a towel on her head and all kinds of shit. Where you been all night? Well, all Josh and Shay said is that their chemistry is real. Yeah, they've been touching each other on the inside part. So Chris comes downstairs. He sees all the other guys downstairs. He said, well, we got through our first night in the house, but I come down for day 2 and Dominique is gone. What happened? So Brandon starts explaining, well, what happened last night was Dominique done lost his damn mind. So they cut to the ladies who are upstairs and Alexis is filling them in, and Millie is telling Alexis that this is a sign of just how insecure this man is. Diamond and they going off like, you should have came and got me. I know that's right. We done jumped that motherfucker. Sienna stepped in to say the exact thing I was thinking as this was all going down. Sienna said if he would do all of that with cameras rolling, imagine what he do in private. A man who will beat you will unalive you. Period. Point blank. And the first sign that he gives you that he will put his hands on you, get yourself out of that situation. Do not be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. I don't care if you got to go back home to your parents, if you got to go sleep on a friend's couch. I don't care if you have to start over. A fresh start is better than a fresh grave. So now the whole group is together and they're gathered around the table talking to Alexis. And Sienna is asking Alexis, are you planning on talking to him again, seeing him again, trying to work this out? Diamond says she better not. I'm answering for her. The answer is no. And Diamond's guy, Aaron, the older Aaron, speaks up to tell her, you can't bring out of a person what's not already in them. So don't sit here blaming yourself like you caused that to come out of him, because you cannot bring out of a person what's not in them. He said, I was in a relationship with a woman who was hitting and beating me. So I know what it's like. And I know that, yes, you can get past that, but you cannot stay in a situation where a person is abusing you. He said, I'm telling you as a father, because I have a daughter your age, that that's a no-no. When a man picks up his hands to put his hands on you, that's a problem. That's an absolute no. And you cannot let that go. He said you have to remember exactly what that moment felt like, especially when he comes back here. If he comes back to this house, you have to keep in your mind what it felt like. Because what happens is people pass the moment. And when the feeling passes, they will take a person back because they forgot exactly how it felt until it happens again. And as he's telling her that, she starts crying. He said, you have to remember what it felt like when you had to pick up a pan to defend yourself. Keep that. And you can see as she starts crying and she just drops her head. I think more than anything, I think she is hurt. I think she is disappointed, but I think she's embarrassed. I think this man humiliated her on TV. And she's in the confessional saying, I don't know if me and Dominique are gonna talk about this. I don't know. Baby, there's nothing to talk about. You don't have any history with this man. And the day that you actually get to meet him, the day that he gets to be in your presence, the only thing he knows how to do is break you down. I mean, from the moment he laid eyes on her, he was breaking her down in the confessional. And that is an attack on her self-esteem. She's meant to see those scenes. So he knocks her off of her pedestal just a little bit so you don't think as much of yourself, so that she never truly looks at him for who he is as compared to who she truly is. To understand that this man don't qualify for you, darling. This man is not your match. This man is not in your league. And he wants to break you down so that you never realize that. And as she's sitting at the table crying, she's saying, you know, I've never been through anything like this. Diamond said, and you're not going to go through anything like this. That's why you need to make your mind up right now that you're done. And even more than making your mind up that you're done, you need to make your mind up that I deserve better than this. I am worth more than this. I am God's child. This demon ain't gonna be putting his hands on me. That ain't how this is going down. And I don't care if I got to be by myself. I'll be by myself before I be with a piece of shit that'll beat on me. A lot of the times, the people that we choose to have in our life are a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And when you have not gotten to a place where you are truly secure in self, where you truly love yourself from the inside out, where you truly feel worthy and you know that you are worth God's best, you will choose less than the best. You will choose a reflection of how you feel about yourself. And Diamond is saying in the confessional that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Now, let me tell you the entire quote. The Maya Angelou quote is, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. You don't need this man to toss you around 5, 6, 7, 10 times. You don't need that in order to know who he is. He took the mask off early, and that is a reflection of God's love for you, because God loved you so much that I wouldn't even give this man more than 24 hours to play with my child. So after this whole powwow that the whole group has, we see the host Tonda come in, and she calls Alexis outside to have a conversation. She said, you know, what's brought to my attention is some went down last night, and I just wanted to talk to you. And she starts out by asking her if she's okay and what happened. And of course, Alexis is very emotional. She's giving Tonda a rundown of everything that happened that night. And she's saying to her that we were so good. The date went so well. You know, we had a good time on the date. He was the guy that I knew him to be. But then we got to the house and he started drinking and everything changed. And Tonda said, but drinking is not an excuse. It does not excuse what he did. Tonda asked her how she felt about it all, and she said that she was hurt. And she said, well, I do want to show you a video from Dominique, which I wish they had not done, because I don't even believe in that. Once you have shown your S to that degree where you will put your hands on this woman, take your apology to Jesus, because I don't want it. So they show her a video of him offering some weak apology about, hey, Alex, I just want to apologize for yesterday. Shouldn't have gone that far. I should have accepted your apology. But, you know, I was drinking and I didn't accept your apology. This nigga goes on in this weak-ass apology to say, I mean, I'm not mad about nothing. Hopefully we can just sweep this under the rug. What? You mean to tell me the first day you have ever met me in life, you done turned the Ike Turner on me, and you want to know if we can sweep it under the rug? You can go sweep hell. I just want us to enjoy the rest of our time here. The rest of your time here is up. They didn't tell you about hopefully we can get back on the right track. I mean, I don't think it's that deep. Yeah, I bet you do think that. Because you're not a woman getting thrown around by a big 6'4" man in a strange place amongst a bunch of strange people. So after she watched that bullshit, Tonda asked her, how do you feel? She said, well, I mean, he says it's not that deep, but he put his hands on me and I think it is that deep. And she goes on to say, you know, you don't really know a person until you meet them. She said you can talk to a person online forever, but it's not the same as getting to know that person in person. Tonda said, yes, that's very true. But when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Once they've revealed that, believe what they show you. Because all it takes is one time and it's unacceptable. Well, after Tonda comforts her, she breaks the news to her. She said, well, in this house, we have a no hands policy. Nobody is allowed to touch anybody. So he has to leave, and not only does he have to leave, so do you. The way they said it kind of made it come off like it was a mutual combat thing, but I don't know if it's a combination of them sending them both home because they felt like they were both swinging, or if it's just because it's a couple show, and if one goes, the other has to go. So they cut over to Sienna and Brandon, who are inside the house, and they're talking, and they're just talking about the house, and she's asking, would this house qualify as a mansion? And he said, yeah, I think so, pretty much. He said, what you need to do, he said, is you need to do what everybody else does. Everybody retires to Florida because he lives in Florida and she lives in New York. He said, I see it all the time where people take that New York money, whatever they had invested in real estate or whatever kind of money they were making in New York, they bring it to Florida and they buy damn near palatial properties as compared to whatever they were living in New York. And she said, you mean like something comparable to this that would compare to this house? He said, absolutely, I see it all the time. And Brandon is saying in the confessional that one of the biggest issues for he and Sienna is the distance, because he has a 4-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. So she starts telling him, well, if you want to plan a trip for me to come to Florida, I'm happy to come to Florida. I'd be excited for that, YOLO. So we cut back to Alexis, who's coming in the house and breaking the news to the other ladies that she's going to be leaving. And she said in the confessional that she actually understands being asked to leave. She exchanges numbers with some of the ladies, and then she goes downstairs and breaks the news to the rest of the group. And Brandon asked her, do you think y'all will reconnect? She said, no. Absolutely not. And Dominique is in the confessional talking about how to put all this stuff aside to come here to meet somebody that you hope you can build something with, and it just all goes south like this. You know, it's not a good feeling, but I'm still young and I'm still trying to learn and grow, so I don't regret it at all. You need to be absolutely embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. You don't learn and grow putting your hands on some damn body else. And you're not going to tell me, you're not going to ever make me believe that's the first or last time that he did that bullshit. So save that magic school bus bullshit about what you're trying to learn. And then this jackass said, I'ma still definitely be meeting girls online. Y'all hit me up. Any damn woman that reaches out to that man is a glutton for punishment. For you to watch this man treat that woman the way that he did on national TV, if you ever think that he would treat you any different or that your experience is going to be different because I'm different, you out your natural mind and he's going to whoop your natural ass. And as Alexis is leaving, she says she doesn't let negative experiences change her outlook or dictate her overall experience. So she is going to continue to date. She's going to continue to meet people and get to know people. And if he reaches out to her, it's going to be a hell no. It's absolutely over. So now that they've wrapped that bullshit, Chris said now he need to go see what's going on with his woman, Sandia, because he knows that she was truly offended listening to him tell all the guys how they ain't nothing. They just happen to be on the same show together. And what really annoys me is after he done sat with the guys doing all this peacocking, this nigga is in the confessional about, well, now that that's all over with, I need to go tend to my woman. Not your woman after you just sat and told the whole group of guys, that ain't my girl, we ain't nothing, we ain't exclusive, we ain't even dating like that. He goes to talk to Sandia, and Sandia tells him that was not a good first impression. And she must have said something about him flirting with the other women or saying that he wanted to flirt with the other women. And he starts denying that. I never said anything about flirting with any of the other guys, girls, because I honestly don't even find their girls attractive. Sir, you done told the men you don't want the woman you got. So what are you saying? And in the confessional, Sandia is saying, no, Chris and I are not exclusive yet. And we are on the same page about that. But it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So she starts explaining to him that you just don't think before you say things. He's like, what do you mean I don't think before I say things? I said exactly what it was. We're not in a relationship. She said, well, that's not what I'm talking about. Well, sidebar, that might not be what you're talking about, but what he's telling you is I know exactly what I'm saying and I say exactly what I mean. She said the whole relationship thing is not an issue. I get that we're not exclusive. I get that we're not a couple. He said, well, I need you to specify what it is that you're talking about. She said, okay, for example, you sitting up telling the guys that you don't trust no woman, you could sleep with any woman on the first night and you don't care and all kind of stuff. What is that to say? She told him, you're just overdoing it. You're exaggerating. He said, how am I overdoing or exaggerating anything? I told you that I'm the type of guy that doesn't trust women. Okay, well, that's an issue you need to work on your own. As a woman, you are not responsible for anybody else's healing, nor are you responsible for being the guinea pig that they use to test and work out their issues. Let him figure that shit out with a therapist, a pastor, his mama, his daddy, somebody who gives a damn. But he wouldn't waste my damn time. She said, okay, if that's the case, you don't trust women, you don't trust me, why are you here? This fool said, because I told you I'm here to try to build trust with you. Sir, you can build a sandcastle in quicksand before you try to build trust with me on this bullshit about I don't trust women and I can do anything I want to do. Why are you here? She said, okay, we just two strangers. I got it. Clearly, this man was hurt by some woman and he has never resolved or healed whatever came from that. And you need to go get help. You don't go out dating looking for a woman to help you heal from the damage you've incurred from another relationship. That's what people mean when they say you don't bleed on who didn't hurt you. It's not the next woman's responsibility to clean up the damage from the last woman. That is your responsibility. And even though you may not be the cause of your hurt, you are the responsible party for healing it. So you don't get to go into this woman's life and waste her time and sell her a dream and then turn around by, well, you know I got issues and I don't trust women. Then get your ass out the market until you get the help you need. And he's in the confessional talking about how he's overwhelmed because she's so emotional about the matter and he's just not that emotional. So when you get to throwing all those emotions at him, it makes him take a step back. Sir, you are so emotional that you don't know how to manage your emotions. Therefore, you have decided to disengage in real relationship and you hide behind, well, I just like to date and I can have any woman. I don't trust women. You are so emotional. You are dysregulated. He's saying, you know, I'm not going to change who I am because you don't like certain things that I say, because I'm not asking you to change who you are because I don't like certain things. I mean, I never said I wasn't interested. I mean, we did have fun on the helicopter ride. You're so interested that you don't know how to handle it. You're so interested that it makes you afraid. And what you do is you resort to what you know, which is playing games. And bless her heart, she's so sweet. She's so demure. She says, you know, I just don't want to look bad. And he said, I'm not going to make you look bad. I'm not trying to make you look bad. You're such a baby. She said, don't call me that. So she kind of laughs it off. He said, are we good? She said, yeah. He said, are you sure? She said, yes. And she's in the confessional saying, you know, I've waited a long time for us to meet, so I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to try to make it work, girl. If you like it, I love it. So they cut over to the hot tub where we see Aaron, the young Aaron who's dating Jody, who don't really like him like that. He's in the hot tub and Jody is inside. Shay is getting ready to go down to the pool or the hot tub or somewhere. And they're trying to figure out, well, why, if your man in the hot tub, why is you not? Jody upstairs, like, yeah, he said he was going in the hot tub. I told him, that's all you, my boy. Go down there and have a good time. Why don't you just tell this man you don't like him? So Greg is about to get in the hot tub. He sees Aaron in the hot tub by herself. He said, where's your girl? Now, Aaron, bless his heart, he just is delusional about, yeah, she upstairs. She don't want to mess up her hair or something. You know, she's trying to make her hair last, so she don't want to get in the water. Sir, she don't like you. And that's not a reflection of you. That does not mean that you're not like a bull. She just doesn't like you. But he don't see it like that. He's in the hot tub telling Greg that he doesn't like clinginess. And this is probably the first girl that he's ever met that's not clingy. Well, she's not clingy because she don't like you, baby. Greg trying to drop him a hint. Greg said, well, I guess y'all just gonna keep moving the same speed, huh? Y'all ain't gonna slow down and y'all ain't gonna pick up the speed either. Yeah, we got a steady rhythm. We got a rhythm. But I see y'all doing real good. Yeah. Look at the other couples around you. Look at how they behave with each other. Look at how they're not avoiding each other. So they move on to their first group activity where Tonda introduces herself to all the guys as the host of the show. And she lets them know that they're going to be doing a series of group activities for the couples to get to know each other better over these few weeks that they're there. And she announces that they have an intimacy suite, aka the boom boom room. So if the couples want to go get to know each other a little better, they can. Just okay. So their very first activity is going to be a Kama Sutra inspired activity where each couple is presented with two positions that they can get into. And they're going to get into these positions to get closer and unlock intimacy and communication. All right. Chris and Sandia volunteer to go first, and they do the little position that they pick, and they have great eye contact and great chemistry. And he said he can't wait to do this for real. So then the next couple is Josh and Shay. So Taronda turns around the card to show them the two positions to pick from. These fools say, oh, we already did both of them yesterday, so bitch, what? Next is Jody and Aaron. Now, Taronda turns around the two cards. She shows them the positions, and as usual, they can't agree on nothing. He want to do one, she want to do the other. She said, hey, y'all gonna have to come to an agreement. These fools rock, paper, scissors for it. Diamond is in the confessional saying that she does not see the attraction between Aaron and Jody, that she thinks that they're just friends, and that seems to be the outlook of most of the people in the house. The guys had to tell Aaron, sir, you're not even in the position the right way. Lord. And he in the confessional, just as delusional as they come about when that time comes for us to take it to the next level. I'm just interested to see what it's going to be like. That girl won't get in a hot tub with you. What makes you think she getting in the bed with you? What are you talking about? Now, the position that they ended up in is a position where there was no eye contact. He's essentially looking at the back of her head and she's looking at the ground and everything else. And Taronda said, well, we know that intimacy goes beyond sex, but how do you connect when you can't look at each other, when you can't see each other? And Jody's answer is the thing about connection is that you don't have to always look at each other. It's an energy thing. Well, the energy says you don't like this man. In the confessional, Diamond's man, Aaron, said the couple that has the least sexual chemistry is Aaron and Jody, and that she has to philosophize this whole thing, but she never actually focused on Aaron. Taronda asked her, she said, I mean, you're talking about experience and what connection should be like for most people, but what do you feel specifically about Aaron? This girl said, and never gave an answer. So Taronda asked Aaron, what do you feel about the connection? This fool said, her ass is poking in these jogging pants, so it's good over here. Next is Greg and Millie. They picked their position and they had a good time. They said this is gonna happen, but it'll happen when the time is right. It ain't quite happened yet. They ain't Shay and Josh around here. Now, next is Diamond and Aaron. When I tell you these are some damn freaks, they get in their position. This fool gonna ask Taronda, hey, can we stay down here like this for a while? I don't give a damn. That's y'all on that damn ground. And he's in the confessional talking about a thing that he and Diamond have in common is that they don't mind being watched. If y'all don't take y'all exhibitionist and get the fuck on. So the last couple is Sienna and Brandon. So Taronda gives them their two options, and Sienna said, let's just do that position. And the man just got on the ground. Taronda said, so you just gonna tell him what to do? And she picked a position where he would be laid flat out, and she's sitting on him, but she's sitting in a way that she's looking away from him. And the first thing Taronda said is, you seem agitated. Are you okay? She, no, I'm not agitated. So she asked her, do you feel anything sitting there? Is anything tingly for you? She said, yeah, a little bit. And so she turned and asked Brandon, and he said, the way I'm laying there, I feel like I'm just about to turn the channel on the TV. I said, well, damn. The man said he was bored laying there. Lord God, I don't know what I do. And in the confessional, Sienna says, I didn't feel anything, any kind of arousal in that moment. So why wouldn't you say that? Why would you just lie and say, yeah, I guess I feel a little tingly. I don't feel nothing, no. But she blamed him for it. She said she's trying to be more vulnerable. She's trying to express more of her emotions. But for him to say he was bored in the moment, it threw her off even more, and he just made the situation worse. So Taronda made the observation that Sienna picked a position where she would be looking away from Brandon, and she asked her, is there a reason why? And Sienna says, well, of the two positions, this just seemed like the easier one to get into. And Taronda says, well, the thing about that is intimacy requires work, and you basically chose the option which required the least work. Back in the house, we go to Sienna and Brandon having a conversation. They're shooting pool, and they're talking about the relocation again. And she's saying, well, why don't you just move to New York? Now, they were just having this conversation. about her possibly coming to visit Florida and that it might be a better idea for her to relocate to Florida. First of all, because you can get more bang for your buck in terms of real estate, and also because he has 2 young children. So why would you come out of your mouth out of nowhere about move to New York? Why would you be asking him to leave his children? And he wanted to know the same thing. He said, well, hold on. You said you were open to coming to Florida, so I don't understand. She said, I said I was open to coming to Florida. Well, I wouldn't live with you before we get married. I mean, because if we live together before we get married, what's the incentive? Who said anything about having to live together before you get married? What are you talking about? He said, so now it all falls on me? She said, yeah, come to New York. He said, so you're not even a little bit open to Florida? She said, no, I'm not leaving. I'm not open to Florida at all. Are you nuts? Were you there for the conversation you were just having? And you know how she strikes me? She strikes me as the type of chick who wants to have a man uproot his entire life, including disrupting the relationships with his children, only to get him to New York to tell him she don't want him no more. She gives me that. She's that type of girl to me. Brandon's in the confessional saying that, you know, she's absolutely free to have her own opinion on any matters. But there seems to be a thing with her where she will feel one way about a subject and then she will feel a completely different way about the exact same subject for no real reason. And they showed a clip of this girl saying, I love being a New Yorker, but I'm absolutely open to coming to Florida. And now she's standing in this man's face telling him, I'm absolutely close to coming to Florida. You need to uproot your life, leave your children, and come to New York with me. She goes on to ask him, do you think we're compatible? He said, well, yeah, the chemistry is undeniable, but I do feel like some of the dynamics of the situation are turning. And she said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I feel like you kind of flip-flop on some of your answers about things. This girl said, well, you're not the first person to tell me that, and that hurts my feelings. What? Well, honey, if he's the second or third person to tell you, you done got a second and third opinion, it might be the truth. He looking at her like, I know you lying. He said, well, that's a big deal. Who else has told you that you're inconsistent? She said, oh, just other guys that I dated, and it hurts my feelings. He said, now see, that's kind of scary. When you have a pattern of being inconsistent or being told that you're inconsistent, that's kind of scary. He said, and sometimes there's the issue of when I try to talk to you, you don't really let me talk, you over-talk me, you don't listen, and then those things just stack up. This girl responds with, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. I know you out your damn mind. Now, if this man were having a conversation with her and did not like something that she expressed about him, and he turned around and started screaming at her, you're a bitch, he would be dead wrong. She would want all hands on deck. So why is it okay for you as a woman to start calling this man everything but a child of God because he told you what everybody else has told you about you? She's going off about how you talking about irrelevant shit. And he said, you see what I'm talking about? You see how you're just going off? You're not really listening to anything that I'm saying. She said, I am listening and I just called you a bitch. See? That conversation would be over for me. This woman is over 40 years old behaving like this. She gives every bit of immature and a touch of insane. And then she's in the confessional saying he has a habit of just saying the first thing that comes to his mind without thinking about how it makes me feel. Bitch, if you don't go find a mirror and slap the first bitch you see, that is you're talking about. You just got mad because the man told you that you're inconsistent like everybody else has told you after you completely did a 180 about relocating, asked him to uproot his life and leave his children, and you just cursed him out and called him all kind of bitches. Are you out your mind? And then she really goes on the attack about, you're talking about me and inconsistency. You got kids with multiple people. She's throwing his divorce in his face about, I feel like having a broken marriage proves that you can't keep a promise. He said, but do you recall that it was because I had a child around 20 years old and I'm from the South where marriage was just the right thing to do and it didn't work out? Do you recall that that's why? She said, but it means that you could easily break a promise. For all you know, those people agreed to divorce. For all you know, those people grew apart. For all you know, they wanted different things out of life because they were kids when they got together. Or that the only thing holding us together is that we have a child together. Who are you, as some random that he found on the internet, to tell this man who he is because of the failure of his marriage? She said, and then not only did you have a broken marriage, you went out and had a kid by somebody, and that didn't work out. Well, hold on, here's my thing. Unless you're a virgin and ain't never been in a relationship, clearly you haven't had a successful successful relationship as you are on a TV show to meet a man who you have been courting online, who you ain't never had the good sense or good change to go meet on your own. You, by your own admission, have been called inconsistent by other men that you've dated, and clearly your shit has failed. So who the fuck are you? See, she's the type of, you really got to break her down and hurt her feelings. He said, well, yeah, I did have another child. That was 10 years later. She said, yeah, but for you to be getting on my case about inconsistency and flip-flopping, well, you are an inconsistent flip-flopper, and you're also immature and unable to take accountability. You're abusive, you lack integrity, you're disrespectful, you got a whole lot going on. And she's laughing and carrying on about, so what makes me any different from the parade of women you've been with? Well, nutty buddy, what makes him any different from the parade of men that you've dealt with? Because clearly you haven't been able to get one to take you serious and settle down with you. So they make their way down to the kitchen where some of the other couples are at, and she insists on continuing their conversation in front of the group because she insists on trying to embarrass this man. She's laying out to the group that I just feel like he has a history of failed relationships. This dude was married, that failed. He had a baby mother, that failed. Now, Chris, of all people, has to be the voice of reason for this crazy girl. He said, but how do you know that it was his fault that those relationships failed? And Brandon speaks up to say, I got divorced at 21. Child, empty damn thing I was doing at 21. You bet not ask me about. He said, I just wasn't going to stay in a marriage that was toxic. And she feels like you should stay in a marriage no matter what. You know why? Because she's the toxic bitch. She's the one who thinks she can trap a person into a relationship, unleash her demons, treat them any way she wants to treat them, and they have to stay there because you committed. You need to be committed. Now, the whole time they having this conversation, Millie off to the side-eyeing this bitch. I know you lying. You can see her just contemplating dragging this by her relationship history. He said, now some people will stay in a marriage no matter what. I'm just not that person. He said, I take marriage very seriously. This dumbass girl, about you sound bogus even saying that, because if you took marriage seriously, you'd still be in that first marriage. Well, if you feel like that, if you took marriage so seriously, if you are so disgusted by divorce, why are you dating someone who is divorced and who had a child? If you think about him that way, why are you dealing with him? This is a mind game. This is the same kind of mind game that Dominique was playing with Alexis. Because I know I'm inconsistent. I know everything you telling me about me is the truth. But what I have to do is make you feel like you're not as good as I know you are. I gotta bring you down a few notches because I don't plan on making myself any better. I don't plan on healing, on trying to become a better person, on trying to evolve. So I gotta bring you down a few notches so I can make you feel like less than you feel about yourself so that you will be with me. Jody said, what do you mean he would still be in that first marriage? This is a 35-year-old man, and we're talking about a marriage that he got into when he was 20 and got divorced at 21. What are you talking about? This girl said, well, it just makes me feel like when the going gets tough, you're just gonna drop out. I feel like I would have gone to marriage counseling. I would have done whatever it took to salvage it. Girl, shut the hell up. No, you would not have. If that's the case, you'd be married your damn self. Shut up. Jody said, we're talking about 15 years between then and now. That man has changed at least 3 times. She said, why do we see something coming to an end as a failure rather than growth? She said, yeah, but I thought when you got married, it's supposed to be for the rest of your life. Millie said, have you had failed relationships? She said, yeah, I mean, failed relationships, not marriages though. Yeah, because you couldn't get there. You couldn't get married. That's why you ain't got none that failed. Because I guarantee you, if anybody had been crazy enough to take your ass to the courthouse, they'd have took you right back and asked for a divorce decree. Millie said, okay, yeah, you might not have had failed marriages, but your relationships failed nonetheless. She said, none of us are perfect people, and that's the point that we're trying to make. And though his relationships have failed, he's a different person today, just like you are a different person from your failed relationships. She said, I mean, I don't know. I just, when it comes to getting serious, I just don't know. And Chris is saying, well, just give it more time. Sometimes it takes time to see things through. And she said, yeah, and I mean, I already knew all of this, but it was just coming here and meeting him, and I just don't know. No, Brandon should have spoken up and told the truth, that all of this is a reaction from her being called on her shit, that she is highly inconsistent. She just says to say shit, and then she doesn't stand on the shit she says. And because I called her inconsistent, because it is something she's already been called, and because it's the truth, she decided she was going to rip me to shreds. And that is why we're here in this moment. That's what he should have spoken up and said. So Greg and Millie, who are a couple, decide to take Sienna and Brandon separately and try to have conversations with them. So Greg is off talking to Sienna and he's telling her, listen, I know that you want to get it right. Y'all are trying to get it right. Just keep trying. He said, now we ain't got it all figured out. Now we better off than y'all, but we don't have all the answers. So all of us have to keep trying. And Millie is upstairs telling Brandon, you're a great guy. Even she says that you're a great guy. It's just that sometimes we have an image of what we expect a relationship to be like, and it's just not like that. And he's telling her how little dumb stuff is starting to add up. Like, for example, today we shooting pool and the girl starts calling me all kinds of bitches. And Greg is downstairs telling Sienna, I really get platonic vibes from y'all. I'm not even gonna ask you if you feel a spark because it's pretty obvious that you don't, at least not yet. So Greg and Sienna wrap their conversation up and they go upstairs to where Millie and Brandon are still talking. And Millie is explaining to Brandon that Sienna just needs to feel secure. She needs an alpha male. And I'm like that, so I understand. Brandon said, yeah, I mean, I get that, but the difference is you actually listen and communicate. You're very easy to talk to. That's a different dynamic. And don't you know this nutty bitch came up there, got into bed, and she's in the confessional saying that she cannot believe that Brandon would be talking to another woman about this situation, and especially for him to go behind her back and be talking about her to another woman, like she didn't just finish talking to Greg about the exact same situation. This girl here needs help. She gives evil and manipulative as she's in the confessional asking, how is you talking to another woman about our relationship supposed to be conducive to my relationship with you? The same way it was conducive for you to be downstairs talking to another man about your relationship with him. Are you nuts? And this episode comes to an end with her in the confessional saying, you know, maybe we're just not for each other. And he's downstairs talking to Greg. Greg said, you know, over the last 72 hours, how do you feel like things are adding up? Brandon said, I mean, do I feel like they're adding up to being something more to us going beyond this? Probably not. Child, that's it for episode 2. When I tell you that girl ran me up a wall, she needs a pastor and a psychiatrist. She needs help, and I'm not even joking. I gotta go have me a drink before I come back with episode 3. So that's it. That's all. I ain't got no more. Just give me a minute. Let me get me a little brown in my system or something, because this girl done work my damn nerves. Thank you so very much for coming down here listening to me and letting me get it off my chest. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, y'all know I love you and I mean it. Bye.